Here we go then, guys, moments away from the start of the Bahrain Grand Prix here at Purple Sector, and it's lights out. We're underway, and looks like a very good start there from Badman. And slightly better than Clen, although Clen's slightly ahead into turn one. It's going to be close here between these two. Onto the brakes they go. Clen has the lead around the outside, and Badman can't get that move done. As we see there, Matty Pitts managing to stay ahead of G.C. G.C. an absolute cracker of a start though. Up into P6 here in these first few corners is G.C. He was not wasting any time at all, as Ernie's looking pretty close here on C4. We've also got G.C. looking to the inside of Matty, going into turn four, but a little bit too far away. In the background there, you've got the Alpine there of Dare Pixel looking up the inside of Scott, who's had an absolute mare of an opening lap so far here, as Scott down to 10th place here on this first lap, as we see Drauga there moving ahead of Rexy Boy. Trocky's moved ahead of him as well, and Rexy Boy there dropping a couple of places there. We've got Shinigami there moving ahead of John up into P18, but we've got Clen out the front here with a comfortable cushion right now over Badman of just about half a second, which is obviously not under tremendous pressure on the first lap, you would say. We've got Street Boy looking pretty close here on the back of Dare Pixel right now, as well as they're coming down the back straight here for the first time at racing speeds here in this one. We've got T, who was looking up the inside of G.C. as in fact no, it was actually Mark, sorry, looking up the inside of C-Mac, should I say. I saw McLaren having a look to the inside. It was Mark there who was showing the inside there to the Red Bull in front of him, but at the moment it's Clen who has the lead here over Badman, as these two have managed to gap C Faulkner by over a second already here. So C Faulkner dropping back into the clutches of Ernie in these early stages as they come through the final corner here to complete lap one. Again, Mark looking to the inside of the Red Bull of C-Mac there, going into the final corner, as we see Basin there moving ahead of Rexy Boy into the final corner up into 15th place. Basin obviously had a good showing at Suzuka on Tuesday night. I obviously wasn't able to cover it because I wasn't feeling very well. Still not feeling great now, but it is what it is. But yeah, I did see he got pole position. I don't know who won the race. I've got to check that out. He could have won the race for all I know, but I know he got pole. But in the meantime, we've got Ernie there looking to the inside now of C Faulkner into turn four, and C Faulkner's going to try and hang it around the outside. Can he keep it there? It looks like C Faulkner's managed to hold on to that one by the skin of his teeth there. G.C. weathering the storm here from T, as they're fighting out over 6th place at the moment. C-Mackie waiting in the wings as well, and looking to try and pounce up the inside there of T, as T goes late on the brakes, a little bit wide there from him, and that could allow C-Mac an opening here to try and make a move here, as he's looking to the outside, but T's got the inside line here coming through this long downhill braking zone, as T-Mac there just went a little bit too late on the brakes there around the outside, but he's able to hold on ahead of Mark, who was attacking on him as a result of him going all in on T there. And now look at Scott, because Scott's going to look to the outside now on Mark as well, as they come to the end of the straight, and he's going to try and go around the outside, but that's not going to be opening up an opportunity there for him, and Mark for the time being is able to cling on to that one. But G.C. still just ahead of T and C-Mac at the moment, as these guys fight it out over 6th, 7th and 8th places at this point in the race. Clen still with the lead, just under a second here to Badman, C Faulkner, Ernie. There's Matty and G.C. as you see them all filing through your shot there at the end of lap 2. And Clen's still out the front, but Badman is hunting him down, as Ernie has made that move on C4, and there is a 3rd place. Now Ernie can try and chase down the top 2, who are continuing to break away a little bit. Scott's got back ahead of Mark up into 9th place into turn 1. Oh, he had nowhere to go there though, as C-Mac was parked on the inside of the corner, and he loses his front wing there. Scott's going to have big damage, and it's going to be in the pits at the end of this lap, as we see a new driver, Fock, there has got ahead of Drauga up into 13th place, and we see there the McLaren there looking up the inside of the Ferrari there. That was T, who was all over the back of G.C. going into turn 4, wasn't quite close enough, but Scott's absolutely tumbling down the order here. His front wing's still on the car, but he's missing his front left end plate, as well as some important bodywork there on the inside of the wing, as Dare Pixel making his way through ahead of him as well here. So Scott is absolutely plummeting down this leaderboard here on lap 3, but Clen out the front has got the gap over Badman at about half a second at this point, so Badman looking to try and up the tempo if he possibly can, as there are the drivers here coming up towards the end of the little straight there. There's C-Mac, who's all over the back of T still, as we see Basin there moving ahead of Fock, and Rexy Boy are side by side here going into the end of the straight, and he's going to have a look here as Rexy Boy to try and get a bit of a cutback if he possibly can. Let's jump on board with the Ferrari driver, as he's looking to try and go around the outside here of Fock. Here we go, back trackside again, and he's managed to do that one brilliant there as Rexy Boy up into 15th place he goes. He made that one look very easy, I have to say, as Drauga has moved ahead of Scott up into 12th place around the outside. Obviously Scott, with that damage, I'll be surprised if he stays out, to be honest with you, and obviously he's going to be coming in because that's not particularly drivable. As we see the battle for the lead, it's really heating up here. Badman's made that move for the lead, but Glenn will get DRS down this next section of the track and maybe able to return the favour. Here we go then, and he's back to the inside now, and the Pulsar to back into the lead again as we come into turn 4. So these two chopping and changing right now, but Glenn has that lead back, which he lost a few moments ago, as we see T still behind T in that battle. T still behind G.C. in the battle for 6th place, as we see T's also lost out to C-Mac here. So always he's trying to keep it around the outside though. I tell you what, it's going to be close here between these two, and riding on board with C-Mac, now riding on board with T, who's on the outside here going into the corner. I think that C-Mac might have that one done, you know, as they get onto the power here. He'll get the better traction here, although saying that, T's managed to keep himself there brilliantly, and C-Mac will now have the DRS though. So T could be pretty vulnerable here down the straight, although T seems like he has better traction in that McLaren and was actually able to get a really good exit there out of the corner. Maybe just the fact that it didn't have any dirty air coming off the back of the car in front, that can make a big difference. But T nonetheless staying in 7th place for the time being. This has allowed G.C. to just break away from this pack a little bit though, as they battle it out in the mid pack behind him. T, C-Mac, Mark and Street Boy here, these 4 guys battling over 7th place at the moment as they come into the final corner once again. But Glenn has got the gap a bit more comfortable over Badman than it was on the previous lap. It's about half a second as they come into turn 1, so that's going to be important there for him, as Matty here is linking him pretty closely on the back of C Faulkner, as we see C-Mac there still ahead of T and Mark at this point. And Shinigami's moved ahead of Truckee up into 14th place, as we see Dare Pixel also having a look up the inside of Truckee here into turn 1. Is he going to be able to make that move? A bit of contact there between them, and Dare Pixel is going to have the Red Bull there of John looking up at his inside, but can't make that move there, as Bason's into the pits here at the end of lap 4. And Scott having a miserable evening here tonight, currently down in P19 after that early pit stop due to the damage on the left side of the front wing. But regardless, we have got Badman here still keeping the pressure on Glenn at this moment in time. He's keeping himself pretty close, and he's going to be ready and waiting if Glenn makes any small mistake. But to be honest, with the DRS, you're not going to really need mistakes. You can just sit close and use it when it comes around to your advantage. But the leaders here coming down towards the final corner once again. And Badman here all over the back of Glenn as they come over the line here to start lap 6 of the race. And he's got the DRS, and this is going to be an easy move here for Badman as he looks to the inside now into turn 1. And that is job done there for the Haas driver up into P1. Excellent stuff there from him. We see Ernie's got C Faulkner and Matty battling there just behind him in 4th and 5th places. And Matty Pitt here has got DRS here on C Faulkner as they come down towards turn 4 once again, but just a little bit too far back at the moment. As we see C-Mac, T, Mark there with Street Boy on the back of them. There's Draga, as here is Fox there making a move on Rexy Boy, or trying. In fact, it was actually Rexy Boy making a move on Fox, should I say. And the Ferrari there's moved ahead of the Williams up into 12th place without any further ado there. Back to the leaders though, because Glenn's still keeping himself close on the back of the race leader, the new race leader Badman. So the whole field apart from T, Rexy Boy, Street Boy as well on the soft tyres, and then you've got Shinigami, John and Scott on the hards. Apart from that, everyone on the mediums here tonight. So it's a majority medium start with a few, about a third of them have gone for a different tyre, and it's an even split between those who've gone for the softs and the hards, but 2/3 of them have gone for the medium tyres here out of this 19 car field. C Faulkner, they're getting a penalty for track limits, as he's still just about within the DRS here on Matty Pitt. as those two battle it out over 4th place, but Clen wasn't quite close enough to make the move on Badman. This time around he'll get another dose of DRS down towards turn 4, but again just a little bit too far away to put him under tremendous pressure. S14 there still keeping close to the back of Matty Pitt at this moment in time. We've got Street Boy here on the back of Mark as well, but not quite close enough really to put him under any real pressure at this stage. There's Trauger, Rexy Boy, Fock ahead of Shinigami. There's their Pixel there running in P14 ahead of John. There you got Truckee. There's T in 17th place with Scott and Bass in there. But leaders once again coming down to the end of this little straight in the middle sector. And the main battle is certainly looking like it's going to be Badman and Clen now. Doesn't look like Ernie's quite able to keep tabs with them at this point anyway. Who knows, on a different compound it might be better suited, but at this stage Badman and Clen looking like they are in a league of their own. Speaking of which, here they come onto the start finish straight again. And I'll tell you what, Clen definitely in striking distance this time around. The gap only half a second as they come over the line. And here we go, look to the inside now. Clen with a fantastic slipstream and makes the move into turn 1 way before we get to the corner. Thing is now he's going to leave himself vulnerable because Badman's going to get the DRS down towards turn 4. Can Clen get a good run out of this section? If he can, he might have a chance to try and defend it here into turn 4. And I'll tell you what, he's well far enough ahead to be able to stay ahead here. Clen has got a good gap there over Badman and has got that move done. And that's exactly what Clem would have needed there. C14 is still not close enough to the back of Matty Pitt. As we see Rexy Boy and Truckee both in the pits here. So Rexy Boy's put the mediums on and is off and away. Truckee getting his medium tyres off. Maybe hards for Truckee. Oh, another set of mediums for Truckee. Okay, interesting. See Badman here still sticking to the back of Clen at this point. Only well under a second between those two at this stage. There's C Faulkner keeping Matty on his toes at the moment as well. We see Dare Pixel there getting a 3-second time penalty for multiple track limit warnings we're hearing, or we're seeing on the screen. Making myself sound like Crofty there for a second. I'm not getting a voice in my ear, I'm not getting a constant update about what's going on. As we go back to the leaders, because Badman is pretty close to the back of Clem right now with the slipstream, with the DRS. He's going to be getting very close. It's going to be tighter into turn 1. Thinks better of driving up the inside there. It was a close call between being in range to do that, but he's going to now go for another dose of DRS here down towards turn 4. I don't think he's quite close enough to make the move into turn 4. He'll get a little bit closer. He's not close enough though, and once again Clen looking pretty tidy here into turn 4. As we see Matty coming into the pits, so is G.C. Those two have both put fresh hard tyres on. We've got Mark putting fresh mediums on, also Street Boy putting fresh mediums on. So a few drivers into the pits here. Is Rexy Boy there getting the move done on Dare Pixel into the pits anyway, but Rexy Boy would have made the move with DRS had that not happened. Back to the battle for the lead though, because I tell you what, these two, Clen and Badman, are putting on an absolutely fantastic show here out the front, and I tell you what, this season is looking more and more like it's going to be these two for the title battle. These two have just been in a league of their own over the course of this season so far. From what I've seen, I wasn't here on Tuesday night for Suzuka for the Japanese Grand Prix, but first 2 rounds and now this, it's looking like these two. I mean, Clen has found his match, hasn't he, in Badman? We knew that. I tell you what, towards the end of last season, I was a bit concerned that maybe Badman might actually be quicker than any of the guys in this league, and obviously Clen was in a championship battle towards the end of last season, which would have affected the way he was driving. Probably would have meant he wasn't driving flat out 100% because he was leading the championship by a way, and would have just been concerned on getting points on the board, I think, towards the end of last season. But at the start of this season, we've really seen Clen sort of out there with everything to prove once again, there to get pole positions, hungry for wins, hungry for points, and we've really seen that Clen, in that sort of state where he's hungry, is determined to fight Badman, or he's well capable of fighting Badman. And he comes out there just in third place, just ahead of Shinigami, who's still yet to pit. Ernie there has put the soft tyres on. So, I mean, he was only 2 seconds behind Badman and Clen in the first stint. So, you know, this race is far from over. There is certainly an opportunity here for him. I wouldn't be at all surprised. We shouldn't count him out at this point. But in the meantime, it is Badman who's out the front here with a 12-second gap over C-Mac. Obviously, C-Mac's still yet to pit. Shinigami's still yet to pit. John's also got a pit still. Apart from that, they've all been in for at least one stop, as we see Ernie there on his fresh soft tyres, making light work there of Shinigami. Now, Ernie needs to get onto Clen and needs to pass him quickly here. He's got much better tyres. He won't find it too much of a task here getting ahead of this Aston Martin, because obviously the tyre difference is going to be enormous at this point. Although they are both in a battle for the win technically, so Clen will be, I imagine, quite motivated to hold him up as much as he can here. But here comes Ernie on the back of Clen. He'll get DRS down the main straight, and if he can't get it up past into turn 1, then he'll get another dose going down towards turn 4. So Ernie should be able to get this one done, I'd say this lap at the very latest, but potentially into turn 4 in a second if he gets a good exit here out of the first complex. And here we go in the slipstream with the DRS as well. He's going to be a brave move from there. That would be a heck of a lunge if he were to make that one, and I don't think he's going to do that one. That's not really worth the risk at this point. You're in a fight for the win. You can pick him off at this point over this lap and then just start to pull away over the rest of the stint. You don't need to be making any risks like that at this stage in the race. As we see Ernie here still getting up close to the back of the Aston there. Now he'll get another good chance here to try and make this move. He'll get DRS down the medium length straight in the middle sector. And here we go then. This is going to be a move here, I think, for Ernie. He'll have much more grip. No. Wow, he thinks better of it. I'll tell you what, I would have made the move there. It would have been a calculated risk. To be honest, I don't blame him for not taking that risk, but that was a risk worth taking. I think that the overspeed he had and the grip he would have had on the brakes into that corner, I reckon he could have maybe lunged up the inside there, but Ernie decided not to. And fair enough, because he's going to almost certainly make the move here down the main straight in a second, because he's well close enough. But obviously those tyres have now got 2 laps on the board, so those soft tyres are not going to be, you know, he's not going to have as much ability to pull away as he did. He'll still get a good 3 or 4 laps of advantage out of them, but he really needs to get on with it here, does Ernie. As we see, we've got Badman still out there, so Badman I think must be going for a 1 stop here, surely. I can't really imagine any other sort of outcome other than a 1 stop here for Badman, to be honest, because I mean, to go 12 laps on the mediums, we saw obviously Clen coming in after 9 laps, and Clen's going to, I think, almost definitely be 2 stopping here, but Badman will be coming out a little way behind Ernie and Clen here. Now, can Clen keep to the back of Ernie here, because Ernie on the soft tyres, they're going to be wearing out rapidly at this point, especially with the amount of time he spent behind Clen. Oh, Ernie's got a 3-second penalty, and that could really derail his chances of a win here tonight. So Ernie pushing his luck there with the track limits. This could be sticky territory for him, as we see Matty moving ahead of Shinigami up into 5th place. Ernie here is on the back of C-Mac as C-Mac's coming into the pits, and Badman's staying out for yet another lap here, as Ernie's absolutely flying. But to be fair, Clen's matching him at this point, because he's kept up with him over the course of the last lap, so he's certainly not left him for dead here as Ernie. As we see, we got G.C. moving up a few places, having been in the pits a few laps ago. He's got the undercut on a lot of these drivers here Mark's come out 2 seconds behind. We've got Drauga there, who's come out on the soft tyres a few laps ago. He's got the undercut on some of these guys as well. C-Mac here has come out in P12. A little way down the order here is C-Mac. Shinigami just coming out of the pits now in P15. But I tell you what, this man here is in a very strong position indeed. Currently with a 13-second gap over Ernie, but presumably on a one-stop strategy here. And this is really playing into the hands once again for Badman. As Glenn is sticking to the task very impressively here on the back of Ernie. The gap's only about 0.7 of a second, so he's done a brilliant job here as Glenn. And those soft tyres are going to be almost, I think, at the point where they start to lose their advantage if they haven't already. So Glenn will find it easier and easier to keep up with this kick salver as this stint goes on. And he got a good exit out of the final corner as well here. He might have a chance to put on a pressure here. Glenn's got incredible straight line speed. He can make the move easily here down towards turn 1. As Badman has finally come into the pits and it's going to come out, I think, probably about 5 seconds behind these guys, maybe about 6-7 seconds behind them. Badman here coming out of the pits now. Oh, he's coming out close here to see Faulkner and Matty. He's coming out just ahead of them, which is crucial here for Badman. Oh, he's overshot the corner though, my goodness me. And that's allowed C. Faulkner and Matty to really close up onto him. C. Faulkner got caught out a little bit there by the Haas, as now we see Matty looking to try and make the move to the inside here on C. Faulkner, but he's a little bit too far back there into turn 4. But Badman there, I'll tell you what, that looked like a hairy moment there from him, didn't it? I mean, Badman was, yeah, he was pretty close to the edge of the track there. As we see Mark there with a 3-second time penalty. But Glenn still just ahead of Ernie in this battle for the lead of the race at the moment. Ernie is still right with him though, as they're coming towards the end of lap 14. We see a caution there in the sector 1, which has subsided very quickly, so no major hold up there with that one. As they come towards the end of lap 14, and Ernie here trying to pile the pressure on the back of the driver in front of him, Glenn, who's obviously got back ahead of him a few moments ago, or well, this time a lap ago it was. But Glenn comfortably ahead here into turn 1 this time around. Both of these guys got to pit again, and be interesting to see what they do, because Glenn's going to do 20 laps on his hard tyres if he does go to the end, but I wouldn't have thought he would be. But you would have to say Ernie's probably got to put the hard tyres on if he wants to get these, wants to go to the end after this stint. He's keeping up with Glenn at the moment though on these softs. Thing is, did Ernie go on the soft tyres so that he'd be able to close up to Glenn and then stick with him in the DRS? Because this could be a smart strategy if it is, seeing as Glenn came in early enough to not be able to do a one stop, and Ernie would have probably caught onto that quite quickly here. So this could be a very smart call here from Ernie. As we see T there with a 3-second time penalty. Here's Matty all over the back of C. Faulkner as they come through the long left-hander. See C-Mac here's got to tee up into 9th place. Ernie here is trying to keep to the back of Glenn. He's just about still within DRS at the moment, but those soft tyres are really going to be filling the pace here. He could, if he put the medium tyres on now, get them to the end quite comfortably. I mean, Ernie's got to try and undercut, surely, at this point. That's going to be his only way of having any chance of the win. Just getting an undercut, coming out, try and come out over a second ahead and just miraculously pull a gap. I mean, that's got to be the only way, surely, at this point for Ernie to try and win with a 3-second penalty. Badman is currently 8 seconds behind these guys, but we think he doesn't have to pit again. He's got 4-lap fresher tyres, so over the next 13 laps that should pay dividends. Ernie is coming into the pit, so he can't hear me, so he wouldn't have been following my advice because we're not live, but clearly he's thinking along the same lines that I was. As we see Matty here trying to make the move on C. Faulkner. C. Faulkner moving to the inside of the track, trying to break the toe if he can as they come into turn 1 once again. He's still comfortably ahead of Matty at the moment. Ernie coming out of the pits here, back out onto the circuit. You see G.C. there moving ahead. So is Draugam. Ernie coming out there just behind those guys, just ahead of the Red Bull of C-Mac there. So 7th place at the moment is Ernie. Can go to the end quite comfortably here. Where's Glenn going to come out in all this? Ernie going for the undercut. Is Glenn going to immediately try and cover him off here? As we see Street Boy with a 3-second time penalty for track limits. Glenn over the line here to start lap 18 of the race. He's staying out for the time being, so he's not trying to cover off Ernie at this point. Now, Ernie's gap to Badman is about 10 seconds. No, about 12 seconds actually. In fact, probably more than that. Probably about 15 seconds he is actually behind Badman. So, he's only got 4-lap fresher tyres, so Ernie's going to be... I mean, it's going to be almost impossible for him to catch Badman. And he's only got 3-lap fresher tyres as well, not 4. Because, well, he's only put those on 3 laps after him, obviously. So he's not going to be able to... I don't think he's going to be able to reel him in. It's going to be very unlikely here. This could be a fight between Glenn and Ernie for second. And that's if Glenn definitely has to pit again. I reckon he probably does. We'll have to see, because he'd have to do 20 laps on those hard tyres around a track like this. That is going to be no mean feat at all. I reckon that might just be a bit of a step too far here. But we see Matty all over C. Faulkner as they come to the end of the little straight. Still a little bit too far away. We see Ernie here now sizing up a move here on G.C. Up the inside he goes at the end of the little straight. Up into P5 he goes. And that is job done there for Ernie. You see Glenn here into the pits at the end of lap 18. And off and away he goes. We see C. Faulkner also in, as well as Matty. So off and away those guys go. So they're going to be good to go to the end now. So Glenn has come out just ahead of Ernie, but on 2-lap fresher tyres. So it's going to be a close battle here between these two, I have to say. Now we don't think that Badman has to pit again, so Badman's going to have quite a good advantage here. Now obviously the hard tyres, they wear about 1/10 and a half a lap, so I mean, Ernie's got Probably got about half a second a lap of pace over Bad Man. That's not going to be enough to catch, no way. Glenn, if he can shake off Ernie, which is not, it looks like he might not be able to. If he can, he should, on paper, have about 7 or 8 tenths a lap on Bad Man, which is still not going to be enough to close that gap. He'd still be about 7 or 8 seconds short by the end of the race. So at this point, you've got to say Bad Man is definitely the favourite for this race. I mean, it's easier said than done. I mean, sorry, it's easy for us to say when he's out in front, leading the race by 15 seconds, but actually looking into the logistics of it, if you try and analyse the tyre deltas and how much you expect drivers to be quicker over a lap than their opponents, it's definitely looking like Batman's got this one in the bag here. As Ernie's on the back of Clem, but too far back down the start-finish straight here. G.C. not quite able to keep with C-Mac at the moment in the fight for fourth, as we see T into the pits here at the end of lap 19. So 10 laps left to go, and T's, I assume, going for a sit on the mediums. Yeah, there we go. Only he's still in the back of Glenn in the fight for second place. There is C-Mac and G.C. But C-Mac looking like he's starting to stretch away from G.C. in parts of the circuit here. Might have that gap over a second in a moment. As Matty Pitt still trying to make the move on C14, and this one's been a battle that's been never ending. Matty Pitt must be absolutely sick to death over the back of that V-carb, but the thing is he can't find a way to get past. C14 has been like a combine harvester tonight. Clearly he's got pace in a straight line, which is negating Matty Pitt's DRS every time. Let's ride on board and actually see what happens, because it's clear that C14 must have some sort of incredible straight line speed. Here we come then into the DRS zone. C14 breaking that toe, as we've seen so often. Look at that, it's like a rocket ship in a straight line. That is incredible. The pace that thing has got down the straights is absolutely insane. Matty will see that and will know that obviously with the well, if it's that quick in a straight line, then there's got to be some deficiencies in downforce, surely. So he's going to be looking to try and capitalise on that, I'm sure. But he would have been doing that the entire race, and C14 so far hasn't left the door open. So whether Matty Pitt feels like he's running out of ideas here, we don't know. But he's trying to force the issue here on C. Faulkner as they come into the downhill left-hand braking zone. And Matty here is going to get DRS once again. Decent enough exit out the corner, but C. Faulkner just incredibly quick in a straight line, with, despite the DRS, he's almost pulling away from the Mercedes. Matty's going to need to be pretty much like this coming out of the final corner, and the final corner is not an easy corner to stay this close to the driver in front, but Matty's going to have to try it. He needs the perfect exit here to use that toe to keep himself on the rear end here off the V-carb. Now Matty's got to be looking to get the perfect exit here out of the final corner. It's a decent exit. He might have a chance. He needs to try and stay in that slipstream, and he's following him this time. He's sticking to him like glue. He's following the tracks, but he just can't get close enough. C14 are just ridiculously quick in a straight line, and this must be a frustrating experience for Matty Pitt. I'm frustrated watching it. I can feel myself being Matty Pitt in this situation, and there's nothing you can do apart from pile the pressure on through the corners like this, where you know the car in front is going to be struggling. But the problem is, when the car in front, who should in theory be struggling, clearly isn't struggling, or at least from your point of view doesn't appear to be struggling, and you just don't understand how that can be. And it's the most bizarre thing. But at the moment C14 is holding on to this one. In the meantime, it looks like Clen and Ernie have closed the gap to 12 seconds to Badman. It's not closing enough. These guys are not gaining enough here on the leader to be any sort of threat to Badman's race win here tonight. Badman with 7 laps to go, I think, is basically got this done. But we see Ernie still with DRS just about here on Clen. He did drop out of the 1 second, but was in the 1 second at the detection point, and still got the benefit of the rear wing, although he goes a bit deep there into turn 1. That might have knocked him out of a second here. I think he's just about within DRS again, is he? Yeah, but he lost a heap of time there going through that first section there, and I think that may have just dropped him out of contention here for 2nd place. He's got the penalty anyway as early, so he'll probably would have lost second anyway, even if he'd been able to take it off of Clen. But at this stage, I think his aim's got to just be to stay on the podium here, not lose his head and get more penalties. Just make sure we can finish in the top 3. The Badman at the front with a almost 12-second lead. Clen is starting to eat into that lead a little bit. Ernie's starting to drop off him ever so slightly at this point. Matty still struggling to get past C4. We had to just watch him for a lap there. I'm sorry to the guys watching this back for the fact that I just rode on board with Matty chasing C4 for a lap. I just wanted to see what happens because he's been behind him for the entire race, and I just couldn't fathom how they hadn't swapped places at least once or twice. But riding on board with Matty showed me that the pace that C4 has got in their straight line is just absolutely insane, and that there is just no avenue that Matty can take to try and make a move. There is just no, he hasn't got an option. It's just insane. As we see Badman here putting a lap on Basin, who's had an absolute nightmare tonight, you have to say. I mean, heard reports that he had a cracker of a race on Tuesday at Suzuka, but here at Sakir it's been nothing of the sort, unfortunately. See C-Mac in the pits here, putting a fresh set of soft tyres on towards the end of the race here, so I wonder what he's trying to do. Obviously no point for fastest lap in F1 25, so there's no benefit to coming in for a late pit stop. Matty looks a little bit closer maybe to the back of C4 this time, or is this just me? Am I just seeing mirages here? We are in the desert after all. But he did seem to get a very good drive there out of the penultimate corner. Maybe, just maybe, might have a chance here with the slipstream getting a little bit closer here down towards the final corner. They're both on the same age tyres, so Matty can't make the most of that. That would surely have been his only chance. Looking at the dynamics of this battle, I would have thought the only way that Matty could have ever dreamed of being able to make this move would have been to get a tyre dowel, so that would have been the only hope. But okay, came in on the same lap for their final pit stops, and nothing of the sort was able to transpire. As we see Mark there losing out to C-Mac and Scott. As Mark there hugging the curb on the inside going through turn 1. There's Rexy Boy moving ahead of T up into 11th. Is that job done? It is. Oh no, it's not. He's gone wide. He's gone a bit wide there, and T manages to get a move back with him here, coming out of turns 1, 2 and 3. Clen's got the gap under 10 seconds to Badman, but it's race is over, to be honest with you. Badman's about to start lap 26 of the race, just the 4 laps left to go here in this one, and he's in cruise control. Ernie's dropped a little bit off at the back of Clen here in the fight for second place, so that one's done as well, I think. And Matty still well within the DRS here of S14, but it's not happening. It's just not happening. I've ridden on board with that Mercedes. I've seen what happens every time they come down that straight. It's insane. The pace that V-Cup's got down the straights is bonkers. Whatever C14 has done to the car, he's made it indestructible at full throttle. But we see G.C. making a move there on Mark up into 9th place on his fresh soft tyres. He's 2.5 seconds behind the other driver on fresh soft tyres, C-Mac, but he's only 4/10 behind the next driver, who's Scott, should I say. So G.C. eyeing up a move here, potentially 8th place here on the table, with Scott right in front of him here. He's got his target very much in his crosshairs at this point. So G.C. is going to get DRS here down the little straight. Here we go then, out the final corner. So G.C. is going to get the DRS on the back of the Williams car. Surely Scott's not going to be able to fight this one, because G.C. on much fresher tyres, on much faster tyres, the soft tyres. Looks to the inside now. This is surely going to be a formality here as the Ferrari's down the inside into turn 1, and Scott's trying to hang around the outside here, and he's keeping himself there quite nicely, and Scott has managed to hold on to that one. I tell you what, I think Scott may have been behind the detection point here. No, he wasn't. G.C. gets another bite of DRS. He was behind, but he's a little bit too far away, I think, into turn 4, and Scott there masterfully has managed to hold on to that 8th place. And obviously, as the laps wind down, Scott's tyres are going to be better relative to G.C. because G.C. is on a soft tyre. So as we get closer to the end, you'll find that Scott will fight back a bit in terms of his grip, and that could mean that G.C. just lost his chance to try and make this move here. There's Matty Pitt currently on the back of C14 here in this fight for 4th place. We see Deb Pixels retired from the race here with just over 2 laps left to go. So that's a gutting there for him, obviously so close to the end of the race. It looks like it's going to be double waved yellows for a moment here. Race leader Badman is on the penultimate lap of the race. Gap 6 seconds to Glenn. He's got it in control here as Badman. He's got it well within hand. Glenn's gaining at about 1 second a lap on those 5 lap fresher tyres. It's not going to be enough. Badman is just managing this one here out the front. We see G.C. finally made that move up into 8th place here on Scott into turn 1. Nicely done there from the Ferrari man, but is Scott going to be able to come back at him here as they come down towards turn 4? He is going to be able to come back at him there. Beautifully done there from Scott. G.C. thought he had the move done. It's not to be, as he gets a good exit here, and he's trying to go side by side, but Scott managing to get that move back here again up into 8th place. There's Badman here coming out of the final corner, about to start the final lap of the race here at Bahrain for round 4 of the Purple Sector Formula 1 League here for season 14. I'll tell you what, this was a fair fight here tonight. No safety cars, no dramas, no anomalies, no mishaps. We saw pure pace alone decide this race, and for Glenn, unfortunately for him, his pure pace was not enough here tonight to even challenge Badman. Badman's had control of this race since the pit stops. Obviously went long in that first stint, didn't take much out of those medium tyres, whilst Clem was having to push his tyres in the first stint to stay with Badman. Badman was just looking after them. He went 3 laps longer on his first stint, or maybe 4 laps, I can't remember. He went at least 3 or 4 laps longer in that first stint. Ended up one stopping, putting the hard tyres on at the end of lap 13 after doing 13 laps on the mediums, and has just kept those hard tyres in beautiful nick here in this final stint of the race. Here he comes then into the final few corners, and Badman is going to take yet another win here at the Purple Sector Formula 1 League. He's got to be in the championship after this, surely, after the starts of the season he's had. I'm going to have to start keeping tabs with those championship standings after tonight, because as we get into the first 4 rounds, it starts to become pretty relevant. But Badman here out of the final corner here at Bahrain, and what a performance from him. Has been in control ever since the pit stops. It's Badman over the line to take the checker flag here at Bahrain with a very impressive win indeed. It's going to be Clen over the line to take second place, the reigning champion. Could not live with the Haas driver today. Ernie over the line to complete the podium. Solid job there from him, you got to say. New driver to the league here at Purple Sector. Only joined last week and has already shown a very good account of himself. As Matty's going to come around in 4th place. So Matty somehow is ahead of C. Faulkner. I'm not quite sure when or how this happened, but C. Faulkner has had some kind of incident. So Matty over in 4th place. C. Matt's going to come over to take P5. Ahead of Drago 6th, with C. Faulkner in 6th ahead of Drago due to the penalties. Drago 7th with, Scott 7th. G.C. 8th. Drago provisionally 9th. Is he going to drop down even further here? Let's see. T over the line? No. So Drago 9th. T 10th. In fact, no. Street Boy 10th with the penalties. T 11th for now. Shinigami over the line. And P12 for him. Mark crosses the line 13th. Fock gets 13th on the penalties. Mark provisionally 14th. As we see John up towards the line. Is he going to get ahead of Mark on the penalties? Nope. 15th for John. Is Rexy Boy going to get John on the penalties though? As he's run out of fuel, I think, by the looks of it. Maybe? I don't know. As he comes over the line. That is that then for the Bahrain Grand Prix. So that is another win for Badman on the scoreboard here for this season. Clen has to settle for 2nd place, and Ernie there was not too far behind. I wouldn't say detached, but certainly not on the level of Badman or Clen for that matter. But nonetheless, Badman is looking an ominous threat for this season. I will get to the championship standings after, obviously, for the next round, and I'll be keeping on top of those over the course of the rest of the season. But I'll be surprised if Badman's not leaving the championship with the start to the season he's had. He's been absolutely phenomenal. But Badman, Clen and Ernie, the top 3 here for tonight for round 4 of season 14. Thanks drivers for watching this back, and if you're watching this in the week between Bahrain and the next race, then you won't be able to skip to the next race in the playlist. But if you're watching this at the end of the season, or you're watching this halfway through the season recapping, click the next one and you'll be able to watch the next Grand Prix here at Purple Sector. But thanks guys, cheers to Purple Sector as always, and we'll see you in the next one.